Welcome into the January 23rd edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano with Dave Morassutti. Toronto losing in Montreal over the weekend. They'll have a chance to get back into the win column tonight against the Islanders. And Dave, we got to talk about what's going on in Vancouver. Bruce Boudreau finally let go, but it was a terrible, terrible situation for about a week. Rick Tocchet, the new man in charge, we'll discuss that situation and more. All that coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, one-stop shop for all things Leafs. I'm your host, Mike DiStefano from TSN 1050 Toronto Radio, also known as Al's brother on TSN's Overdrive and TSN 1050's Leafs Lunch. Joining me, it's my co-host, Dave Morassutti from Sportsnet, also a writer for the NHLPA. Locked On Leafs, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast, so be sure to subscribe for free wherever you get your podcast from. You can also now check us up on video format. Look us up on YouTube. It's Locked On Leafs on YouTube. Hit subscribe and get new content each and every day, Monday through Friday. We got a brand new show sponsor, David. We got a new sports book that's sponsoring the pod. I'm excited about it. It's a sports book that I use all the time. It's FanDuel. So FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sports book of the Locked On Network. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Before we do get started, Dave, I'm sorry to hear about your Cowboys, but as somebody who placed a couple of wagers on the Niners on FanDuel, I am not that upset about what went down. But we all know that you are a big-time Cowboys fan, so I'll give you the floor, and you can explain to me what the hell happened on that final play of the game in the Niners-Cowboys.
Well, it would have been a different play had Dalton Schultz decided to catch the football properly on the play before.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a play like that in my life, nor will I ever want to see a play like that ever in my life where the running back is the guy who is snapping the football. There's a reason why running backs don't snap the football, as you saw what Zeke Elliott did there. But that was like a typical Cowboys loss. Like I've said it before, they find ways to disappoint me. My teams find ways to disappoint me.
Dude, we talked about it time and the Cowboys are the Leafs of the NFL, right? They're the number one public team, and they always shoot themselves in the foot early on in the playoffs. They actually got the first round win this time in the wild card victory against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. And then, boy, did they soil themselves in this game last night, man. Oh, my goodness. Like, even the drive before, like, legitimately, I don't know what the hell Dak Prescott was doing. Almost threw a pick, which was insane. Missed on a big deep ball, and then takes a sack on 3rd and 10 on, like, your own 10-yard line. And then you got to go and you got to punt it. Get the ball back. And then, again, no idea what the hell's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. But that was that play in itself. Like, if you guys didn't see it, if you're not big football fans, and you want to know, okay, what does it look like, to lose spectacularly in such a bad way, go and look up that play. Because that was – what do you think was worse, this year's loss or last year's loss? They both were just like the final play of the seasons were both just ridiculous.
Well, last year's was just infuriating because of the clock management, but this year's was worse because they scored 12 points.
Yeah, but I'm like the way that it ended has to like a 10-yard hitch route to Jalen Tolbert when you need literally a full touchdown, the full length of the field. You get 10 yards, and it's Zeke Elliott snapping the football on that play. Like what?
Yeah. No, this like I'm more infuriated with this year's loss because the defense actually played really well. Defense gave them every chance to win that game. and the offense put up 12 points. And when I criticized the Minnesota Vikings for how they ended their game, that was worse.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. But like I said, it's very Leafian. It's very Leafian, right? Last couple of seasons, what's been the issue? Not the defense, not the goaltending, the offense. The offense has been the issue for the Maple Leafs for the last few seasons. And here we are again talking about the Dallas Cowboys and how they weren't able to get it done. And the offense is the one that it's the parallels are there, buddy. They're always going to be there. The parallels between the Maple Leafs and the Cowboys.
Just in case anybody thought they had a bad weekend after the Leafs lost against the Habs, unless you're a Cowboys fan like me, you got no. That was 2 nights in a row of just taking it right on the chin.
Pain. All right, let's get into it, buddy. Leafs. Well, they were up 2-0, and then it was tied 2-2. And then they went into overtime and took another overtime loss to the Montreal Canadiens. Rem Pitlick with a really nice shot in overtime to win the game. But this was this is a weird one, a really weird one, because I thought that the Maple Leafs, really good start to the game, really good first period, and then just completely gave the game back to Montreal in the second. And then played a little bit better in the third, but Montembeault made a couple of really big stops. The one on David Kampf in particular. I just losing to Montreal is not something that this team should be doing right now. Like, Montreal has so many injuries. They're legitimately playing like half of an AHL squad, and Toronto just simply couldn't get it done.
It says something when everybody's pretty much saying the Leafs are losing this game as soon as they saw the Cole Caulfield announcement. Like, how many people I saw, even in the Discord, who's ready for the loss tonight? Because this is where a team that knows they have their backs against the wall know that their best way to beat the Leafs is to outwork them. And look, the first and third period, the Leafs were just flat out dominant. But that second period might have been maybe the second worst period I've seen this season, because the second period against Seattle was the worst period of the season. Yeah. This might have been the second worst period I've seen, because not only did they not do anything offensively, Montreal was just flat out dominant and obviously tied the game. But you play better in that second period, Montreal has no chance of coming back in that game.
Yeah, just a little bit of pushback. Just a little pushback in that second period. And you don't give them the game. Like, they gave them the momentum to go out and tie that thing. And then, they got great goaltending in the third period, which obviously is what took this game to overtime. But yeah, like that, the second period, if we want to get right into the good, the bad, the ugly, like that was the ugly right there. That entire second period. There was just that's not what you want to see if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs team who's played well of late. Like, they've been playing some pretty good hockey, and they haven't really been, dropping the ball when it comes to playing subpar teams. They've actually been playing decent against them, and they've been coming up with wins, but not Saturday night, obviously. Not Saturday night. The Bell Center is a completely different beast, and when you start to lose momentum and the crowd starts to get into it, it gives that Montreal team just some sort of edge, and that's what happened in the second, right? They got the first goal, and it really started to turn from there, and they were able to tie it up and eventually win it in OT. I'll say this, though. Like, I think Toronto deserved to win that game. Like, they were the better team. I think Montreal, like Montembeault, made some big stops in the third period to keep this game alive and bring it to overtime. But it's just, something that the Leafs do have to, you got to win. You got to come home with the 2 points on that one.
Yeah, no, you have, like, even as bad as that second period was, you're still tied in the third period. I mean, Kerfoot had 2 posts in that game, one clear cut that should have been a goal. And then in overtime, like, you just got to put those guys away in overtime. Like, Montreal doesn't. Rem Pitlick was the guy who scored on you in overtime. He had the best opportunity overtime. Like, is that really where we're at right now? that like just that's the part that was frustrating, is that in overtime is meant for the stars to shine, and it's always almost the exact opposite that happens, unless it's unfortunately, when it's William Nylander the last little bit. Like
Yeah.
it's just so frustrating.
Yeah, and I mean that was my bad. Just like the play in overtime, allowing Rempit like that much space to get a clean, wide open shot like that. Like you just got to play that a little bit better, pressure him. He's not somebody who like it's not like Rempit looks Cole Caulfield. Like why are you giving him the respect and allowing him to get that shot off? Like I don't know what the situation was there in overtime for them, but yeah, definitely not ideal situation. As for the good for me, I guess we'll just keep rolling on the good, the bad, the ugly here. Like they got off to a really good start, and that's what you want. Get off to a good start. Try and neutralize that fan base. Giordano scored early in the game, got a rip, and then they just kept pouring it on. Calle Jarnkrok, maybe the easiest goal he will ever score in his entire NHL career. Just, nice pass by Connor Timmins, and just kind of said, thank you. I'll deposit that right here. But then, things started to go the other way in the second period. But I thought they had a good start to the game. And next time, keep it rolling from the first, the second, and into the third period. They do got a game tonight against the Islanders too. So, hopefully they can play a full 60-minute game, because that was not the case in Montreal, and it cost them a full point.
Yeah, no, it did. And again, they got a bit of help from the Calgary Flames, who beat the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday. Otherwise, you only get 1 point of that game and Tampa wins. You're going to be putting yourself in a position where Tampa will basically move past you in the standings. Like these,
but technically, I think they, in terms of win percentage, I'm pretty sure they are.
yeah, Tampa is right now, because they have games in hand. They would be ahead of the Leafs.
Yeah,
like that's just disgusting. Like if you're a Leafs fan, that scenario is just the last thing you want to see.
To have to go into Amalie Arena for a 7-game series, yeah, that would be not ideal. Not ideal for the Maple Leafs, that's for sure. All right, Dave. Anything else you want to say about this game before we move on and kind of tee up tonight's game against the Islanders and get into this Bruce Boudreau, Rick Tocchet story?
No, let's move on. Flush that poop show down the drain. Let's move on.
Is that so? You're moving on from Saturday's game, and you're moving on from Sunday's game, and today's a brand new week, brand new day. Is that how is that how everything's kind of going for you today?
It's going to take a little more than a day to recover from all that, but we'll try our best.
All right, buddy. All right, Leafs and Islanders tonight. We'll get to that game in just a moment. But first, let me tell you about one of today's show sponsors. It's FanDuel, and the NFL playoffs are here. Not for the Cowboys, though. The Cowboys are no longer part of the NFL playoffs, Dave. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On, because the number one sports book in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers can join today and start with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just join and sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads, player props. They got it all. Futures, whatever you want. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance to win bigger payouts with same-game parlays. I made a couple same-game parlays in the game last night with the Bucks and with the Cowboys. And, unfortunately, they included Tony Pollard, Dave, and that didn't go well when he left the game with a broken fibula. So I did not, unfortunately, make out like a bandit. But I did bet Calle Jarnkrok to score a goal in the game Saturday night for the Maple Leafs. So that one definitely cashed. So, yeah, you can make a whole bunch of wagers, even on tonight's game, Leafs and Islanders. I'm thinking Leafs, nice little money line victory back at home. That might be a nice little wager you could place on the FanDuel app. all on the app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So also football fans, you're not going to want to miss out. Place your first $5 bet. Get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/locked on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano. Got Dave Morassutti with me. Maple Leafs with a loss on the weekend, 3-2 to the Montreal Canadiens. They'll have a chance to rectify things tonight. They're back home for a start of a 5-game home road trip. They've got the New York Islanders in town to start things off. John Tavares' old squad coming back into the building. I actually just got a notification. Looks like Pontus Holmberg has been recalled. So Holmberg back with the Maple Leafs after a couple of games with the Marlies, which makes sense after they placed Dryden Hunt on waivers yesterday. I assume he will clear. I don't know if anyone's going to take him. Maybe somebody does take him who needs a little fourth line help. Anyways, that's also news for you. So Pontus Holmberg probably going to get back into the lineup tonight also. What are you expecting, Leafs and Islanders?
Well, you look at the last time these two teams played each other. I think that was another overtime loss. So a very similar game to the Habs game almost in a way. Like the Leafs just if I'm the Leafs, you keep doing what you did against the Habs minus the second period. Like learn from that second period and just come out with a purpose in this game against the Islanders. Islanders haven't been doing so hot lately. I don't know if you caught it on Saturday. There was some Fire Lou chants at the Islanders game this weekend. So Islanders are not doing so hot right now. So it's a prime game for the Leafs to try to bounce back, but it's getting a little difficult right now to predict what we're going to get from the Leafs. But right now the Islanders aren't doing so hot, so this is a good game here for the Leafs to try to right the ship a little bit here.
Yeah, they've lost 4 in a row. They've only got 2 wins in their last 10 games. So the Islanders are really starting to fall back. And I mean, I can't say I'm shocked by that. If you look at their underlying numbers, they were like last time these two teams played each other. I remember looking at the numbers and seeing weirdly the Islanders were second in the division, but they were 30th, 31st, and 32nd in scoring chances allowed, expected goals against, and high danger chances. And it just made no sense that they were a top playoff team at the time. And when you went and you looked at it, it's because Ilya Sorokin just stands on its head every single game. And now that Sorokin's not stealing as many games and he's now a 500 goaltender, it doesn't necessarily their record is no longer that insane, and that would be exactly why. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, tonight's a good chance for Toronto to kind of take advantage of a wounded, weakened team. This is a team that they have 1 win in the last 9. So not even 2 in the last 10, but 1 win in the last 9. And it was against the Montreal Canadiens. So this is a squad that's reeling, and Toronto really. They could take advantage. Their power play has gone ice cold too. I'm just looking. They haven't scored a power play goal since January 10th. They have 2 power play goals in the last 10 games. That's it. So their power play has been pretty garbage as well. So that could probably help this team, win a little bit. But when I'm looking at this game tonight, I'm curious, Dave. Do you go back to Samsonov one more time, or look at the sun just getting in there? Jeez Louise, it looks like I'm being saved by God or something. You can go look on YouTube. It's kind of weird. The lighting now is very messed up. There we go. Where was I at? Oh, the goaltending. So if you look at the goaltending splits, it's really weird. You got Samsonov, who's a king at home and meh on the road. And it's complete opposite for Matt Murray, who's a king on the road, he's been so at home. But Samsonov's coming off of 2 straight starts. Do you roll with him one more time and you give him the road start, the home start, or is this a chance to get Matt Murray back in the crease?
I think you can if you're going to get Matt Murray back into a game, that this would be the one. He's been off for a few days. Hopefully, he's been getting some work in with the goaltending coach. So I would say this would be the game to get him back in. But also, and some will say, well, Samsonov has been good at home. Next, as we just said, the next few games are going to be at home. Matt Murray's going to have to get one eventually at some point. So I think this is a good game to get Matt Murray back into the net.
Well, this would also be a team that he's very familiar with, right? Like playing with the Pittsburgh Penguins for many years. He would know, this club quite a bit. There's a lot of players that were there back when he was playing with the Penguins, so he knows the team. But a career 3-3 record, an .887 save percentage, and a .308 goals against average in 9 games against the New York Islanders. So even those splits aren't too favorable when you look at Matt Murray and his career against this team in particular. I'll be curious to see what Sheldon Keefe ends up doing. I mean, as of now, they haven't had morning skate at the time of recording. If Matt Murray's at morning skate, then it'll probably be Samsonov who starts tonight. If he's not at morning skate, and you guys see that, that would indicate typically that Matt Murray is getting the start. So we'll see. I assume Pontus Holmberg will get back into the lineup as well after getting recalled by the Maple Leafs. And I just, I think that the team, just like you said earlier, just play similarly to the way that they played against Montreal, but make it a 60-minute effort, right? Not 35, 40 minutes. 60 minutes, go out there, put on a good show. Last time you lost this game, like the last time they played, it went to overtime, but it was like I think Shalgren was in net, actually. And now it's coming back to me. Shalgren was in net, and he had a giveaway late in the game, and it allowed them to score, take it to overtime, and then they eventually won an OT. It was also the game that they lost Morgan Riley, I believe, to injury. So yeah, this was a crap game. I wonder if there will be any retribution about the whole Morgan Riley situation, actually. So that'll be interesting to see. So yeah, that game's tonight, 7:00. Watch. I believe it'll be on Sportsnet tonight. Okay, Dave. Let's take one quick break. When we get back, though, let's get into the whole Bruce Boudreau gets fired in Vancouver. The long week it was, and I have an analogy for how this week kind of went down and how people and fans and how I felt about the whole situation ahead of bringing in Rick Tocchet to be their new head coach. I'll explain what I mean in a moment. But first, Dave, how about a word from one of our show sponsors, Athletic Greens?
Yep, it's a product I use every day. If you're somebody like me who want to just get better control of their health, didn't want to waste time trying to buy all these different pills and supplements, what better than having an all-in-one solution? That's right. With AG1, it's one delicious scoop, and you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of those things that I have just listed. I'm somebody who is trying to, simplify things, make sure that I'm getting the best things into my body. And Athletic Greens is probably the best way that you can start your day. And I've been recommending it to a lot of my friends. I've even been giving away some of a little bit of samples for them to try so they can see how it is themselves. The best part about Athletic Greens is it's lifestyle friendly. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it also contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. It supports better sleep quality and recovery. It also provides mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products based on the latest science with constant product iterations and third-party testing. And if you need any more reason to go buy it, it costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting all the different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. So right now it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop into a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and David Morassutti, your host of the show. Leafs and Islanders tonight down at Scotiabank Arena should be a goodie. But there was an absolute clown show going on in Vancouver, honestly, for the last, basically all season. But it's really ramped up in the last few weeks here and finally came to an end yesterday as Bruce Boudreau was finally fired from the Vancouver Canucks. Rick Tocchet announced as his replacement. So he becomes a head coach of the Maple Leafs. There's a report that there's a 3-year deal that's in place for Rick Tocchet. And this whole thing was just super weird. I don't know if you watched or if you went to bed sobbing after the Montreal game. But if you watched the game, Vancouver-Edmonton game on Saturday, the ovation that he got from the fans at the end of the game, little Bruce there at his chance. And he was kind of taken aback. He was soaking it in right at the end there. I mean, they lost. It's not like they won the game. They lost. And he's just staying there, staring out into the abyss, soaking it in, getting, the love and respect from the fan base. Because everybody knew that it was his final game. Everyone knew that was it. This was it. That was the end of Brucey in Vancouver. And I've never seen a situation like this where, it's not like a guy was retiring or like everyone knew it. You know what it was reminded me of, Dave? You ever watch the movie Green Mile?
Yep.
Fantastic movie. Someone who hasn't seen it, go watch it. It's such a great film. It's who's Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is in it. It's awesome. But it reminded me kind of that weirdly. Like, I know it's a weird thing to kind of compare it to, but it's almost as if Bruce Boudreau was on death row and everybody knew his execution date and it was coming. And everyone knew how wrong it was that how it was all happening. And everyone just felt dirty about it. Like, everybody felt so weird. And the players came out in the way that they were speaking all week about how, wrong it was, how it's been getting in their heads and affecting their play. And, it's just, I've never seen anything like it in hockey. And Jim Rutherford came out and spoke yesterday and did say, if there's anything that I could take back, it's how public this coaching search was for him. And I mean, yeah, I suppose it's because it got public, but it was just the fact that everybody knew that his days were numbered. Even him, the players. It was talked to in the media. It was a situation I'd never seen before. And it finally ended yesterday, though, with him getting let go. And officially, they've hired Rick Tocchet, stole him from the TNT panel, and he'll now be the coach of the Vancouver Canucks for the next 3 years.
The closest I can think of in terms of the situation where you saw a coach getting fired, actually, like when Ron Wilson was coach of the Leafs. And it got so bad that the crowd was chanting "Fire Wilson." I don't know if you remember that.
But that's why
it's totally different because.
But that's what I mean. Like, it's a completely different situation. It's like Bruce Boudreau
knew he was getting
typically fired. It's if a coach, typically the fan base gets a coach fired.
Yep.
Like they sit there and they start chanting, and it's like, this guy's got to go. Like, this guy's got to go. It's not working. He's got to go. It was opposite. It got to a point where Bruce Boudreau people became so like sickened and saddened by what was happening that they loved him and they didn't want to see him go. Like, it was just so bizarre. It was death by a million cuts. It was just
It
such a
was.
bizarre situation.
It was the most unprofessional thing I've seen from a hockey team.
Disgusting. It was disgusting what
Like,
was happening.
even if you're waiting for Rick Tocchet, even if you had to wait for Rick Tocchet, fire Bruce Boudreau. Mike Yeo could have been the interim coach.
Absolutely.
Like, I like to see Bruce Boudreau have to joke in practice about his status as a head coach. Literally says, "Well, I'll see you tomorrow, maybe." And he's trying to joke with it. He's trying to joke with it because it's so hard, probably so hard for him that really joking about it is the only way is almost like therapy for him. He needs to find a way to just get whatever emotions he had off his chest. I'll give the Canucks fans credit, them giving those last 2 games of them really showing their support with the Bruce there it is chance and all those things. Like, that's fantastic. Bruce Boudreau deserved that support. Not, you know what, like, yeah, his tenure not very good because they didn't really achieve much, but he didn't deserve what he got, and I'm glad the Canucks fan base was on his side because nothing the Canucks have done over the last year since this new regime was brought in, like, you can't say they've done a lot of things well. Like, overwhelmingly, there's been a lot of things gone wrong, and this probably was the worst of it. And yeah, I like even like I feel a little bad for Rick Tocchet because he's coming into a situation that not his fault what's going on, but he's now going to always be linked to that, and that's where what really boggles my mind about all this when it comes to Boudreaux with the whole thing is why do you want to make this like bring a new coach into a situation like this? You want to make sure that you know he like the coach has a fighting chance. The new guy has a fighting chance, and now he's got to work much harder to get even like the players. You saw how like they said it affected the way that they were, the way they were playing, the way like their mental, their whole mental approach to the game was affected by the situation. That's the part that really like that should infuriate a lot of Canucks fans.
Yeah, we'll see what comes of it. Again, it's Rick Tocchet's put in a bit of an unfair position.
Yeah.
I find it hilarious how just like everyone knows this team just needs to rebuild. Not They don't need to retool, but the team consistently every single year just retool it. Like a couple of guys out the door, and I don't know what the hell this team is doing right now. It's really something. It is really something. But the term retool was used by Jim Rutherford at the press conference too yesterday, and it's just like, oh God, this is why you filtered through 5 different coaches in the last 5 years because you just keep retooling the same nonsense. You're not actually giving the team a fighting chance. So yeah, I think Rick Tocchet's going to be in a bit of a difficult situation because, look, Travis Green wasn't the problem. Bruce Boudreau wasn't really the problem. It's the personnel. The personnel is the problem in Vancouver. They need some guys who want to play defense. They're all gas, no brakes. All gas, no brakes.
Let's go even one step further. It's the owner that's the problem because the owner.
Well, yes, you're right. It starts at the top, the very top. It is the owner that's the problem, because he's been very neglected to
real
go
problem.
into a rebuild. But by doing that, they've just been in limbo for the last 7 years. It's really stupid. It's really, really where the Maple Leafs were at, to be honest with you, like the entire Phil Kessel era, pretty much. Like, it's exactly where the Leafs were. Always finished on the outside looking in, thinking they were a little bit better than they were. Made trades and deals to acquire players that were supposed to put them over the top, whether it was Phil Kessel, whether it was Bernier, whether it was Dion. Always making moves that they thought would put them in position to win. And outside looking in every single time, like clockwork. It was crazy. Anyways, Dave, we'll leave it there. We'll see what comes of Vancouver. The good thing is they have a very light schedule the next couple of games, and I think that was probably done properly to give Rick Tocchet the best chance to pick up some wins and get some early faith for this team. But again, Leafs Islanders tonight. That'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to Locked On Leafs podcast wherever you get your podcast from. You can receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll break down tonight's game, Leafs and Islanders. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.